Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Family, we're back!
Woo!
Woo! It's been a grueling 6 weeks, and I just want to apologize to you guys. I had a mini computer technological meltdown / crisis over the holidays, so that's why you guys didn't get your mid-season review. I apologize.
Computer Chernobyl.
Seriously, it was so bad, guys. I'm lucky that I got to say what I got to say. It was just literally out of nowhere the day that we were going to record. But we're back and we're refreshed and rejuvenated. And this show, the mid-season premiere, they learned all the lessons from Arrow because it was really good. Better than I was expecting.
Yes.
But I wasn't expecting it to be as emotional as it was.
Oh, yeah. Both shows were really emotional this week. So
that was to be expected with Arrow.
Yeah.
With the topic. But with this one, I'm like, okay, we got the Revenge of the Rogues. This is probably going to be silly and fun and campy. You know what I mean? It's like I was almost expecting a filler.
Yeah. No.
This wrapped up everything and then set us on a new trajectory.
Yeah, and I love the 50 Shades of Awkward.
Well, that's every episode.
No, I mean, even Eddie was awkward.
Oh, yeah.
Which was wonderful.
Yeah. It was good. It was good to have everybody back on my screen. And,
yes.
Everybody got a little tiny chance to shine. Some parts were bigger than others, but still equally as important. And I really appreciate that with the Flash Ensemble cast.
And I finally got to watch in HD.
Oh, this show is meant to be watched in HD. It's so bright, and the cinematography is always top-notch. Say what you want about other elements, but the special effects and the cinematography and the scoring, the technical aspects of the show are always on point.
Yes, yeah. I totally went out and bought an HD antenna and an HD TiVo just so I could watch my CW shows in HD.
Of course, we're talking about episode 110, Revenge of the Rogue.
Leonard Snart, a.k.a. Captain Cold, returns to Central City with a new hot-headed partner in tow. Mick Rory, a.k.a. Heatwave. The duo plan to steal a multi-million-dollar painting, but Cold has another agenda while in town, to set a trap for the Flash. Snart and Mick kidnap someone close to the Flash and threaten to kill them unless the Flash shows up for a battle of fire and ice. Barry tells Joe he isn't sure he should take on Snart again after the casualties that happened the last time they fought. Meanwhile, Barry asks Dr. Wells, Caitlin, and Cisco to help him double his trading efforts so he's ready for the Reverse Flash when the Man in Yellow returns to Central City. Iris deals with the aftermath of Barry's confession, and Cisco makes the CCPD a new shield.
So this episode was written by Jeff Johns and Kai Wu, and I think this is a really good combination. I always, as a comic book fan, love when Jeff Johns writes for this particular TV show. He really gets the Flash. The Flash is his favorite. This is like a passion project for him, and it shows. And one of my favorite directors who happens to have directed some of my favorite episodes of Arrow, also directed this episode, Nick Kopis. He's known for Nikita as well, so it's nice to keep it in the CW family when we have good TV directors, especially action-oriented shows, because that's a very hard specialty to come by.
Yes.
Because TV's filled with what? Procedurals.
I like procedurals too. But...
Me too, but action shows are a specialty.
That's
when you
right.
get one, you gotta hold on to them.
Amen to that.
So we had some very special guest stars. Dominic Purcell made his debut as Mick Rory, aka Heatwave. And Wentworth Miller returned as Leonard Snart, a.k.a. Captain Cold, or as he just likes to say, Cold.
Yes, he's cold.
And then we also had Luke Rodriguez as Jason Rush, which I was really excited about this character's debut. I had heard rumblings about him, and I was like, wait a minute, is he going to be fused with Firestorm? But no, they kind of worked it in a really cool way, so I was really excited about that. And then, of course, a wild Patrick Sabonye appeared in this episode as well. David Singh, Captain Singh, poor long-suffering Captain Singh. He gets like too loud. We actually didn't have any music, like actual soundtrack. It was just all scoring in this episode. And I always like that because, of course, I love Blake Neely's scoring.
We love Blake Neely's scoring.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's awesome. More stuff for the soundtrack.
Exactly. What theme did you get for this week?
It's transitions. You got Iris moving out, Barry moving in. You got Star Labs and Cisco trying to help the CCPD and redeem themselves.
The Flash becoming a public figure.
Yeah, you got Barry at first thinking, he kind of transitioned into maybe I should take a more passive role and then maybe I shouldn't, So just kind of transitioning for everybody. Barry transitioning, talking with Caitlin and opening up to her about how he's confessed his feelings for Iris now and how their relationship is kind of weird. And they were able to talk about that. And then she was able to open up to her to tell him what her fiance's last words were, Ronnie's words, and he figured out Firestorm. So a little bit of transition for everybody.
I just didn't know what to expect. I mean, how do you top the man that killed Barry's mom and then to have that reveal and they just left it dangling like we haven't addressed that or anything. And I didn't at the end of the episode, I didn't even mind when I realized we hadn't really addressed too much of what had actually happened. It just seemed that Dr. Wells, it was just kind of implied that Dr. Wells basically used this to manipulate Barry into doing what he wanted him to do, which was to get faster and to kind of almost be ensnared in his trap so they can have more alone time. You know what I mean?
Right. So he can foster that relationship to have more influence.
I think the theme that I got this week was Fools Rush In.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Because Captain Cold and Heatwave are just kind of obsessing with it, and they just kind of are just off. Even Heatwave brings it up to Captain Cold. You're obsessed, and you're not meticulous anymore. And Barry didn't. Wells brought up the fact that the first time that he confronted Captain Cold, things happened, and work smarter, not harder, kind of thing.
Right.
And so Barry thought that might be the smart thing to do, is to let the police handle it because he's not a metahuman. And then it's Iris it feels like she had kind of been putting off taking her relationship to the next level with Eddie, even though they've been together basically a year now. And so they finally made that step, and that's just kind of what I got.
It's kind of like she's weirded out now about her and Barry's relationship. Barry's trying to be more cool about it, He's really trying to get things back to quote-unquote normal, even though they won't be, because they're going to be different now, obviously. But it's almost like now that she knows, there's part of her that knows, you know what I mean?
Yeah, her eyes are open, and like we discussed last time, Barry is the guy that you bring home to daddy, and, you couldn't really ask for much more in a guy. So, but I do want to back up and talk about their ratings, because, the CW cannot ask for a more steady, consistent show. We got a 1.4 in the demo, and we had 3,870,000 people watching. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the most watched show on the CW this week, as it tends to be almost every week. I'm so proud of The Flash, and it just blows me away how well this show does and how it resonates with so many people on so many different levels. That's just a sign of really good writing and planning and execution.
And I think part of it too is that it's such a positive show.
It really is. It could easily be just as dark as Arrow, because the metahumans actually up the ante, but somehow it just makes it a little lighter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and kind of the whole Barry's outlook on life really colors the show.
It does. And again, I love how Jeff Johns gets the character. I say this all the time about Barry Allen, and Joe brought it up this episode. Barry just wants to help people. That's who he's been since he was a little kid. We meet Barry running away from bullies because he intervened on somebody's behalf.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, I just like Barry is a person like the villains. As much as I love Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell from Prison Break, like I could have just had this episode be about the interrelationships between Barry and all the people in his life, and the villains are just this secondary icing on the cake for me. Really, it's amazing because it's a superhero show, like, and you don't care about the villains. That's saying a lot about the writing of the relationships between all these characters. It just really is.
Yeah, that you care that much about them. You know, and I felt connected to the characters from the start.
I mean, they opened this show with a gut punch. I mean, it's this little kid losing his parents, and this is his foster family, and he has a thing for the girl, literally the girl, well, would have been the girl next door, but the girl in the next room over. And it's just like, it just takes all these twists and turns, but it has such heart and pathos at the center of the story that it's just, like I said, these villains are just so secondary, and they're actually getting better quicker with the villains than Arrow did, and I just actually, in the great guest stars that play them, and I just honestly don't care. Like, they do a good job, and I can't complain, but I literally don't care about the villains. So weird.
Well, I think it's because we identify. There's something in every character in The Flash that you can identify with.
Okay, back to, like, well, while we're talking about the villains, it's not that I don't care, honestly. They were a little bit more comic book-esque than I was expecting, the Heatwave character specifically. Like, I read some of the new Flash over the holidays. It's the one thing that I did, really, honestly. And I didn't really picture Mick Rory as that kind of just crazed animal, like how he just lost it when they got arrested and they're in the precinct. I'm just like, what in the world?
Yeah.
And I get he's a pyromaniac. Like, I went through, like, a pyro phase when I was, like, 7. And the bottom of my mom's curtains and, like, bathroom rugs can speak a tale of its own. But, like, I don't know anybody that's a pyromaniac personally, but I think that was just way too over the top.
Well, he did kind of sound like the guy from Def Leppard.
Yeah, Dominic Purcell has a wonderfully big, booming voice. And the funny thing about the relationship between those two, I just think that I can't not picture them as brothers from Prison Break. And it very much felt like this was like an alternate universe. And even though they weren't brothers, it still felt like they were almost those characters from Prison Break, because Wentworth Miller character was meticulous and he was a mastermind, and Dominic Purcell was just a low character who was his brother, was just a low-level thug who got caught up in a conspiracy. So that's the one thing that I will say about them. Like, I loved it, and they're going to obviously be back. And fun fact, the person that breaks them out is his sister, Golden Glider. It looks like she has a special gun or some sort, or some tech all her own. But she's going to be back in, like, between 2 to 4 weeks. I don't have the script order in my head right now, but I know that she'll be back. So, I mean, but it was really cool, and I liked it, but I don't know, like, it was just a little too over the top. The answer was a little too easy. I mean, it was something literally pulled from Ghostbusters.
Yeah, well, and that's what I thought of when I saw him with this proton pack on.
Yes.
That's what it looked like.
And what even scares me even more is that in the Flash Arrow universe, Ghostbusters is scientifically accurate.
Yeah, I know. It's scary.
And quite funny, to quote Dr. Williams.
Yes.
Any excuse to bring up Ghostbusters. I get it, guys. But no, like, that's my only thing about it, is that it was just like, our villains have been pretty, despite having metahuman powers, have been pretty kind of down to earth and almost relatable up until this point. So I don't know. I prefer that approach to over the topness, and I hope when they come back that it gets toned down just a little bit.
Yeah. It was just a hair.
But I do like that Captain Cole is, like, the thing about the Flash and why his rogues gallery is so great is that they team up quite a lot, and they have these rules and these regulations, and they have this one single-mindedness that no other villains, superheroes rogues gallery actually has the fortitude, because they're just all bat guano crazy for the most part, that they can't form a team and work together for whatever reason. But the Flash, a lot of his villains aren't metahumans. They're humans who just are greedy. And, greed gets a lot done. honor among thieves and
does.
whatnot. So I think that this is the interesting thing that basically sparks the Rogues Revolution, as it were.
You think the Flash will ever go after the government?
Should.
He should.
Well, I mean, he single-handedly saves the post service in the future, apparently. So, yeah, I got a long memory like that. But enough about these dang-on villains. I want to say that there were no flashbacks. I was almost expecting one of Barry and Iris.
Yeah.
I didn't miss it. It was like, that's the thing about the way that they use the flashbacks in this show, is that it's not that it's superfluous, but they only use it when necessary, and to really kind of almost hit you in the gut. Emotional gut check, as it were. Just boom, take that. Have some tears.
Yeah, they really do wrench your gut when they use them.
I think that, like I said, I feel like everybody got a little time in the sun, and that's really important to me because this is a really great ensemble cast, and they're utilizing everybody almost on a week-to-week basis.
Well, and it was nice that we got mentions of even people that didn't have any screen time.
Ronnie.
Yeah, I mean, well, and to keep the thought of him in your memory so, you stay connected to his character, even though it's been, how many weeks since you've seen him.
Exactly. But, the way that Caitlin always, oh my God, I love the way she talks about him. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but it's so beautiful at the same time. And Danielle Panabaker she just sells it. I will buy whatever that woman is selling at any time of the day.
Yeah, you get it. I mean, they had a deep, deep connection, and you get that from her.
Yeah, that's that life-changing, profound love. Kind of like Along Came Polly. That's what it made me think of when she said he made me try Indian. I love her scenes with Barry. Like, they're just emotionally naked with each other, and it's so effortless.
Yeah.
And they haven't known each other that long, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, but they have so much in common. I mean, they're both prodigies. They're both scientists. They both have had a profound love in their life, and they're not with them. They completely identify with each other.
Yeah, I mean, from day one, though, like, just very...
Yeah.
I like those two together, and I like that you can ship them if you want, but you know that her heart belongs to Ronnie. You know what I mean? Like, I like that. Like for me personally, I know that there's no threat of them, unless there's like a love spell or something going, of them kissing and getting naked with each other. Like, I think that it needs to be shown that, yeah, a guy and a girl can be friends, and there doesn't have to be that unresolved sexual tension for it to be a good relationship. I think that's dangerous, because that's almost all you ever see on TV.
Lots of UST, yeah.
Yep. And I was like, okay, I liked it in the X-Files. I don't like it in anything else.
That's very true.
So, I don't know. Like, Cisco, oh my God, I'm so proud of my baby.
Yes. It was so nice to see him shine.
Twice with the police, and when they went to go save Caitlin. Sure, he almost killed her, but the hug made up for it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I think that what Cisco did went a long way, and I think, you think about it. His career and Caitlin's career were over when Starlabs blew up, and this is an opportunity for them to come back from, quote-unquote, job suicide,
Oh, yeah.
Reviving their career from the dead, if they're able to do things to help the city. And
I thought that was going to go a long way, too, definitely. I almost feel like that's why Dr. Wells really didn't say anything. Because he just has that smug, that smug air around him, where, like, it's like everything he says kind of comes out like, So Cisco, the passionate young one, boy wonder, as it were, I would let him be the face of that in that situation. Yeah,
because you always think that, I always think that Wells has got a knife and is going to, like, knife me in the back.
Even if you don't know how evil Wells is, he's just so smug, and I was sad to see, actually, the My Two Dad shtick was kind of over. The bromance between Wells and West are over. He calls him on it. I knew that came from you. Couldn't have come from Barry.
Quite honestly, you think about this. Who's looking out for Barry right now?
Joe.
Well,
and
Joe
Caitlin.
is. But Caitlin's still helping him push himself this hard. They don't really know what could happen to him or the effects on his body. So it shows.
Well, Dr. Wells does, as far as
he does, but we don't. He doesn't know that he does. Nobody else knows that he does. So and Joe's not there when they're doing all this stuff. And my thought is, who's looking out for Barry's health and well-being?
No, I don't think anybody is going to be for quite a while. Until something like, his heart stops again or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they made such a big deal about it, and then we've kind of left it alone, that it's just like one of those threads that's probably building in the background where Joe gets really mad and, insists that he doesn't until they have somebody there at the lab looking out for him. And maybe that's how we get Tina McGee back.
That would be nice.
Saying. Maybe they blow up Mercury Labs or something, and she has to work with them. Because we got a mention of them. Like it's like they don't want us to forget because that's where Jason got his job offer from. He's like, I'm flattered, but you guys are kind of dumb.
Yeah, you guys are kind of yesterday's news, quite literally.
I did enjoy. Everybody got interaction time together. We saw even just the little stuff between Barry and Eddie. Even when he was the Flash, it was like little interactions, but when he was helping them move and... That
was hilarious with the box.
Like, how much stuff did she... How big was her room upstairs? Did you see all that stuff?
She obviously had stuff in the attic.
Yeah.
Because, she found his backpack with his Space Ghost in it.
Well, she said it was in her closet, and I'm like, how big is your closet?
Yeah.
But then you can have the removable panels like my grandma had in her old.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean... And quite frankly, okay, I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18, but I had stuff in their attic and their basement until I was, had been married 10 years. So, yeah. No, I'm not kidding.
Wow. I guess I'm not a pack rat, really.
Well, stuff like, high school and mementos and stuff. And those kinds of things that, you don't want to take until you're really settled somewhere. You don't want to move them every house, or every apartment you live in.
Oh, yeah.
Those kinds of things.
That, my friend, is why I welcome the digital age with open arms. Everything's in the cloud for me now.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm in the process of doing, so.
Like I said, I just really liked this episode. I loved everybody. And so I like the way the episode opened, and I definitely love the way the episode closed. But the middle section, I couldn't believe how quick we got into the villains. And it felt kind of a little disjointed. Like, 1 minute we're at Ferris Air with lasers and drones, and the next minute there's a steel door being broken like, glass candy. It was just weird. Like, it just, we're just going to jump into this. And then we jump cut again to Barry's, analyzing the scene and stuff. And I was just like, okay, they are not playing around. We are zooming through this.
I miss seeing what's going on in Barry's head, though.
I wonder why they stopped. They probably got tired of, having to try to, research and calculate all that stuff.
Yeah, but it was cool.
As a writer, it is a little annoying to have to stop what you're doing. Oh, man, okay.
But that could be added in later,
Yeah. But, because they do really fast turnaround production on the show, so.
Yeah.
Every little thing that they don't have to do. I miss it, too. Maybe they'll bring it back one of these days.
They should, because it made things make more sense.
Yeah, definitely. Then what happens after that? They realize that Snart's back, and Eddie puts the APB out on them, and, then, he has that little talk with Wells, and then he has to tell Joe.
Yep. And
Joe's like, what? Say what?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're scared, we talked about it. It's okay to be scared.
Yeah. It's almost like Barry's doing a 180 and he's kind of freaking out because he's like, this isn't Barry.
It makes sense, and I hope that we explore that more because, this is the catalyst of what made him who he is today.
Right.
And he kind of addresses it just a little bit, but I feel like there's so much more we could explore with this. And especially, I just want them to come out and say that Dr. Wells is the man in the yellow suit so that, we really get, you know what I mean? It very well could be something else. You just never know with the Flash, but, I need to know what his motivations are.
Or is he one of the men in the yellow suit?
Exactly. A man in a yellow suit, or, there's plenty of, flashes and reverse flashes, and very true. I just want motivation for Dr. Wells because he, it just drives, and maybe that's what they're trying to do, slowly drive us insane with that plot point.
For not knowing what angle he's coming from. Yeah, exactly.
Because it does. I feel like he genuinely loves Caitlin and Cisco and Barry.
His ambition is his drive. He has a goal, and that's what's driving him. And my thought would be it's its existence.
Well, yeah.
But, you know.
It feels like that's like you said last night, it feels almost too simple.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
now sometimes Occam's razor is the correct answer, but in a comic book show, it usually isn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I don't feel like with this, the way that they built this particular storyline with him, and the way that just Tom Cavanaugh answers questions in interviews, whether in print or on video, it drives me mad.
But you also hear that, you know, that it's going to be the hugest twist, and you have no idea. Nobody's got it right yet.
And we're getting time travel so soon, like within the next 3 to 4 episodes, we're getting time travel.
Yep.
So I feel like that's the episode we might get a question answered out of a billion. The thing that I enjoyed the most about this episode was the fact that Cold forced the Flash's hand to reveal himself. You know, he can't be like Batman, where he was just a whisper, a nightmare among criminals and whatnot. You know,
I got such a kick out of Barry's reaction to himself being unveiled.
But you know it's gonna turn sour eventually, because you know you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I had to quote it. I had to. I'm sorry. And I think that that's going to be the interesting thing when the public turns on him. When he can't save that baby in a fire.
And eventually somebody spray paints graffiti on his museum.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves on that one. But I did like that. But we also had kind of this, if you watch the original Flash TV show, I almost felt like I saw a couple of Murphys, man.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I felt like we didn't get a lot of Team Flash, actually, though, because everybody was off doing their own thing.
Right.
And I wasn't expecting Cisco and Joe to be off on their own. Like, that really threw me for a loop for a second. I was like, I like this, but I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and it was kind of neat that you did see that unusual kind of pairing, you know? And you saw more Barry and Dr. Wells this week than you normally see.
That's nothing but trouble, but I did like it.
Well, true, but you know what I'm saying? It did end up being kind of interesting like that you did get some unusual... Well, and you saw Barry and Caitlin in the lab without Cisco.
Yep.
Which doesn't happen that often either.
And we saw a lot of Iris and Joe, which we actually really don't get. I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And it was just teary-eyed every time. And it's just like, oh, you just wanted to hug them both. I really was kind of disappointed. Like, at first I was really nervous about them kidnapping Caitlin. I mean, because Iris is a self-rescuing princess, so somebody has to be the damsel in distress. I don't want it to be Caitlin, though. Let it be Cisco next time. Like, stop kidnapping the girls.
Let Cisco get attacked by one of his drones or something, you know.
Something. Like, that's the only thing that I really hate about, like, you know, comic book tropes is that, you know, somebody has to be a damsel in distress. And I think that's probably why I loved Wonder Woman so much as a kid. Because Steve was always in trouble. He was the damsel in distress. And I just like that role reversal.
And Linda Carter always had her bracelets at the ready.
She really did. And so it would just be nice to see that. I don't know, like, I just really enjoyed everything about this episode. I was literally smiling the whole way through this episode. And we got the Scarlet Speedster reference.
Yes, we did.
And Girl Squeal of the Night, by the way. I was like, oh my God, it's happening. I hope it sticks. It's just like the Easter eggs in this episode were so cute and clever. And just, I don't know, this whole episode was just really cute. And I don't know, it's just like, usually I'm like, okay, yeah, I can't wait for next week. But no, seriously, I really can't wait for next week.
Except for the one thing that bugged us both.
Oh my God. So at the end of, no. Kelly and I are sometimes occasionally the same person. We might be Firestorm. I'm not sure. We might be merged and fused together. I'm really not sure because I'm such a nitpicky person and Kelly is just really not nitpicky. But so at the end of the episode, after Iris and Eddie leave, they leave the door open.
And it drove us nuts.
And I'm like, really? You're just going to sit there heating outdoors? Really?
My parents raised me better. The big panel of the door is plywood. Because it's got these giant, you know, you can see the grain in it, and it's obvious that it's plywood.
I think the set dressers didn't have enough time to finish. They were like, we gotta shoot, we gotta reset, we gotta get it done. Nobody will notice. Oh,
I noticed.
And Kelly will always notice.
I mean, the door had, really pretty windows and a nice lock set. But that panel just, glared at me.
But the worst thing about it is I noticed it on the first watch. Yeah, that was literally the only thing that, actually just, really stood out and actively bothered me. I have to say that everybody's wardrobe was amazing.
Yes.
And the Scully was back. Joe West's Scully was back.
Yes, it was.
And we all know how I feel about that.
And we got Barry's old backpack. We got
Barry's sweater and the little plaid shirt from when he went to go visit Oliver a year ago.
Yes.
Oh my God, it sounds so obsessive. I'm sorry. I am like most shows. I'm so obsessed with the wardrobe. Like they do a lot of Barry rewears a lot of stuff, but he got new shoes.
Yeah, cool.
They're not Converse though. I was like,
oh my.
Yeah, they were leather.
Cool.
Yeah, that was weird. I was like, I wonder why. Maybe they weren't getting paid from Converse anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe the fabric was burning up when he'd run.
That happened quite a bit.
Because he did run to his place and back, with his suitcases. and then how come his suitcases didn't catch on fire? And
can't think about it too much.
Okay, all right, we won't.
Maybe he sprayed flame resistant retardant stuff on it. I don't know. But I kind of the only other thing that really annoyed me was that when it came to the showdown, there were still people, just civilians walking around.
Yes.
The guy told you when and where he was going to be. That means skedaddle. GTF. Oh, just get the fuck out of the way.
The area.
And Iris just pops in. What? Iris?
Yeah, you would have
crime scene, an active, ongoing crime scene. Iris, your father is no, baby, no. You didn't even have a camera or no excuse.
Yeah. That wouldn't happen.
And the cops didn't try to snipe their heads or anything. They're just watching this showdown.
Yeah.
It was just that was another just little weird kind of thing. I'm like, I don't think if that happened in real life that's how that would go down. Somebody would be dead from a sniper bullet on the roof.
You're not kidding. Yeah.
That's all. But it was a cool little sequence other than that.
That it was.
You have to sometimes you have to kind of suspend a little more disbelief than usual for a cool shot. But yeah, that all in all a really awesome episode.
Angry.
I really, really loved how Barry offered to move in with Joe.
Well, did he really offer?
And honestly, we've only ever seen Barry's apartment the one time anyway. I mean, that's the one thing that had bugged the hell out of me. I was like, is he living in the loft? I called his lab the Loftpratory. The Loftpratory. Because I thought he was living there, basically.
Yeah.
We knew he didn't live with Joe, and we'd never seen his apartment, so I just assumed. Because it doesn't look like a, standard lab.
Right. Yeah, it's good that he and Joe are going to be together because, we got to have a little bromance, too.
Oh, Kelly, tell them what you sent me today. Tell them. And I'll tell them my response.
I was thinking about this, and it was so funny because I don't know why it just kind of came to me. I was actually at work. I was getting in my car at work, and I'm thinking about, you got Joe and Barry and this their relationship because, he's moving back in together. So is the Barry Joe shipper named Barris?
And I said, ew! First of all, ew. And second of all, it would be Jerry, Jarry. Just for future reference for anybody who wants to send me a slash pic. Just saying. I like to read slash pic every now and then. Some of them are really good and respectful and tasteful. I just really like that scene. I don't know where we're going with Barry moving back in with Joe. I don't know, how this episode was so funny and so emotional and then action-packed. Literally, it gave me everything that you could want from a show in 42 minutes.
Yeah, well, and geeky. You had the nerdiness, you had the emotion, you had the action, it was just fun. I mean, I love the scene with them moving and he's like, just let us know before you come over, or don't, or you want a key?
Eddie still doesn't know how to handle that situation.
No, and it's just so funny to see, this guy that you expect to be the, guy who's got it all together. Fun to see him in that situation, being a Barry,
Mm-hmm. Well, let's get to the episode award. So what would you give this episode as a grade?
This was a great episode. Really a great episode. I would say probably an A- for me.
And Kelly is the tough one again.
I am.
I gave it an A. Villains killed it for me. Like, if the villains had been so over the top, it would have probably been an A+.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Scene of the night?
I would say, for me, there were two. The scene between Barry and Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. And I loved Cisco in the department, where he really gets to shine. He gets to feel like he's being redeemed.
Favorite scene is when Barry tells Iris he can see the future. And because, like I said, I was so glad we didn't have to see that, drug out week after week after week. I'm glad that we got kind of a break and we're just kind of glossing over this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And she wants that future to be true.
Right.
Because they are best friends, and sure, it's been a little awkward, but he really does just want the best for Iris, and if that's what Eddie is offering, I think that he can go along to get along.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that. And she said, the future doesn't sound so bad. And then, of course, he says, it'll be here before you know it.
Of course he does.
So the whole scene was just really cute, and I liked it. And so that's gonna be the new starting point, and hopefully,
he says it because he listens to our podcast.
I think every Flash podcast literally probably says that. So I think that I think they're definitely aware of things like that, and I just really love the writers when they are playful, but it didn't stick out. You know what I mean? It just kind of blended in. And then my other scene, I also liked. My third scene was Caitlin and Barry and her. I like predictable and figuring out Firestorm. I definitely love that scene, but the second scene I'd have to say was between Barry and Dr. Wells, where he says, where they're talking about the choices, and he says, and in case you were wondering, yes, you do make me better. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. I don't ever believe anything that comes out of his mouth, but I want to believe it.
Yeah, you want.
And that's all thanks to Tommy C, a.k.a. Tom Cavanaugh. That's his new nickname, by the way, on the podcast, Tommy C. I like that. I think he would like that. I do. I really love the way Tom Cavanaugh plays his character. You just never know. But I want to believe him. I want to believe this is all for the good of something.
But he's got duplicitous doings going on.
I know.
I know.
It's so bad. But I always like morally ambiguous characters. I do. I like anti-heroes, for goodness sakes.
He's so good at being so bad.
He really is. He's so smug and cheeky, and I think that's what it is. I just love a sarcastic little turd as a character. I just do. It's my favorite kind of character. Line of the night? I guess I can paraphrase. I forgot to write it down. It's between Joe. I was saying that scene earlier between Joe and Dr. Wells where he explains about Barry and he says, I knew it had to come from you. And then the bookend scene of it is that Barry says he's a grown man and makes his own choices.
Barry and Joe. Talk about how, what's going on between you and Iris. There's nothing going on. I got 2 eyes.
Oh, that was such a dad line. It hurt. Most memorable moment.
I like the ending with Joe and Barry. He gives him the beer. He's like, I'll help you. He's like, this isn't going to do anything for you. Yeah. Just drink it, and them just kind of bonding. And it was really cool.
I think for me, it had to be when Captain Singh shook Cisco's hand.
Yeah.
And also when when Eddie gave him the guns back, it was because for Cisco, he created that cold gun and it had wreaked so much havoc. It was like a relief in his face. It was like mission accomplished. Okay, and this is the thing that I didn't kind of mention, but I will mention right now. It was things that make you go, is that it's only been 4 weeks in the Flash era, in the Flash universe. It hasn't been the full 6 weeks. So are we expecting a time jump somewhere? Because usually, and we'll get to this in consolidated because they're way off on their timeline now. They like to keep up with the audience. So I wonder if there's a reason for this.
That's a good question.
So yeah. Let's see. Character of the night. I had 2. My first one was Cisco because I was so proud of him. They actually gave him a big chance to shine, and Cisco, Carlos really nailed it.
Yes, he did.
I loved everything they gave him, from the little hug with Caitlin to the things with CCPD. Just Cisco being Cisco, man. It's just a great job. And then of course Barry. I think that almost goes without saying at this point.
Yeah.
But I just would be remiss not to say it. Grant kills it as Barry Allen every single week. It's like he pours his soul into it. He really understands this character and gives it this just really sensitive vulnerability that I'm just wowed by every single week.
Yeah. He embodies Barry.
He really does. And I can't believe there was a time where I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know how this is going to work out, man.
A singing, dancing guy from Glee? I don't know.
I don't know, man. Broadway kid is a superhero. I don't know, man. But then I remembered that, the original TV Flash.
Yep. Let's see. Opera singer.
Exactly. Broadway, soap opera. I'm pretty sure a lot of people were like, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
And he wowed, and lightning struck twice in this case. Boom!
Ouch.
I got one in.
You sure did, and that was quite a zinger.
What about you?
I would agree with you on Cisco, absolutely, and Barry is a given. I would say also tonight. This episode, I Caitlin. Yeah, she's just really believable, and she tugged at my heartstrings this week.
What do you think was the most improved aspect of the show in this episode?
I think I'm going to go back to what we talked about earlier, where we got everybody. We really got a nice blend of cast. And everybody needs an episode to shine. Totally get that. But it was just really nice to see a more balanced approach this week.
I couldn't agree more. And I also, the cinematography was just, it was great.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was just like the blend of the sound mix, and it just feels like they literally hit their stride right now, and they found that perfect formula, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was just, this episode was so aesthetically pleasing on the technical level, because you guys know I'm the techie between the two of us.
Yes.
And it's really important for me, and I and you got to watch it in HD for the first time, right?
Yeah.
Live.
It felt very organic. It didn't feel forced at all.
Yeah. I love the color scheme of the show. I love the set build. I don't know, but this one, this episode popped.
Yeah.
And I feel like the last 2 episodes of the first half of the season, they kind of didn't pop. And I don't think they were supposed to, because I know that the mid-season finale was supposed to be a little darker in tone. And they tend to take that quite literally in the visual representation of an episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. But I don't like that, because this show is just, it pops. The Plastique episode is still the most pretty to me.
Yeah. That episode was beautiful.
But this one was just I don't know if it's because I missed the show so much, but it really did pop on all the levels.
I totally think it was the whole HD thing, because I think in SD I would not have noticed that door. Well, I would have noticed it was open, but I wouldn't have noticed the plywood.
Yeah, you wouldn't have plywood at all. SD is so grainy, man. 480p is barbaric as far as I'm concerned. What did you think was the best action?
I loved it when Barry threw the missile.
Yeah. Like I said, the fact that we opened with some hardcore action, I just really loved that.
Well, and the drones were fun too, of course, but
we already kind of talked about best character interactions. So I'm going to talk about the biggest shock surprise of the night, and we didn't get one. And it's really funny, because even though it wasn't the end of the episode for me, my biggest shock surprise still came from Dr. Wells. I don't know about you. You already touched on it when he almost got out of the chair because he thought that Barry wasn't going to make it. I'm like, dude, Caitlin and Cisco are right there. So that's implying that he has the speed now. That shocked the heck out of me. And we were literally 1 minute into the damn episode, and I'm like, what?
yeah. And that he's willing to be found out to save Barry. Was he really that interested because he was really afraid for Barry, or ulterior motive?
I think he was really afraid for Barry because Barry has something to do with his timeline.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And if no more Barry, no more him.
Yeah.
But then again, when he lost his powers, but that was, I think that was all the evolution of Barry's powers all along, and it was going to come back anyway. But like, if he lost it for any more time than that, then Dr. Wells might blink out of existence or something like that. However they're doing their time travel.
Yeah, are we doing Doctor Who time travel or 12 Monkeys time travel? Yeah, exactly.
Or Back to the Future time travel. Or Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So many movies to pick from. It's not even funny.
Well, there's that new show 12 Monkeys that's really bizarre too.
Oh yeah, which is based on the movie. Mm-hmm. But they've added some extra elements that have me quite excited, actually.
It's actually kind of interesting.
But the only time travel show that's really actually sustainable is Doctor
Doctor Who.
because of the way that they do it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, eventually you get bored. Yeah, you get bored with others, and then you blow your canon, and then
Right.
once you ruin the rules of your universe, nobody's invested. What was that your biggest shock of the night, or did you have a different one?
That was definitely one of them. I would say probably the other one was the whole, well, because I have not, because I've been a bad girl and not been a huge comic book geek reading Flash, the whole Firestorm being an acronym was interesting. And kind of what that whole theory, I mean, I knew kind of what Firestorm was, but not how exactly, so that whole thing brought up a whole interesting line of science, reasoning, questioning, Googling.
It's alchemy.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna burn at the stake, damn it. Sorry. Couldn't help myself. But no, I do think that the principle, the pseudoscientific principles that it's founded on is very fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, transmutation, that just makes me think of like Leonardo da Vinci and
Yes.
all that other great stuff of, medieval that, kind of sort of, set the real scientific ball in motion. I mean, I don't think we would have like physics and calculus and stuff as we know it had he not set that kind of ball in motion with that kind of obsession.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm
think
a
that's
huge
really
fan
cool.
of physics.
Yeah. I think that's what's really cool about DC specifically is, I don't know, I probably said this on several occasions, but I don't care. And it's that they do kind of try to base a lot of their stuff in like with kernels of like real scientific truth, like dark, like I think it was the first comic book that actually did dabble with like dark matter and, tachyon particle time travel and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff that's plausible that people are actually working on in labs around the world.
Kind of like the whole Star Trek thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really like that, and I kind of appreciate that. That can easily get the ball rolling for, like, that's what made me interested in science.
Absolutely.
That's why I still love string theory to this day. One of my favorite things to talk about ever. So I hope you guys kept up with the Flash comic book. We're up to, next week we're getting ready to have issue 11. This week we have issue 10 to talk about. Kelly's going to talk to you about Flash issue number 38 from the regular Flash comic book.
37.
Oh, did I?
Flash number 37. Behold the all-new, all-murderous Flash. Uh-oh. Written by Van Jensen, Robert Venditti, pencils by Brett Booth, inks by Norm Rapmund, colored by Andrew Dahlhaus, cover by Brett Booth, Andrew Dahlhaus, and Norm Rapmund. 23 pages, and the print and digital release date were both December 24th, 2014. Christmas Eve!
I actually have read this issue, and I've read 38 too. And oh my god, you guys, this is like the perfect time to get in on the Flash. Like, I would start with issue 33, I would say, and take it from there if you don't want to go back and read all the other ones. It's getting really good. It just blows me away, and you guys should definitely check this issue out in the next issue, number 38. I'll talk about issue number 38 next week because it's so good. I'm halfway through it, actually. I was trying to squeeze it all in before, but
Well, yeah.
Then we have The Flash Season 0, issue number 10. And the arc of Smoke Signals, yes, Smoke, as in Felicity Smoke, concludes. And the blurb for it is, can Barry save Felicity and himself from the mysterious Skylords? We have one of our fearless leaders from both TV shows writing this issue. It was Andrew Kressberg. The pencils were by Marcus too. Yeah. And the inks were also by him, and it was colored by Kelsey Shannon. I believe it was 23 pages long, and the digital release date was January 12th. And I really liked this one. This whole Smoke Signals, oh my god, because it's Felicity. Come on, seriously.
Of course.
You have to get these 3 issues, okay? It's so good. I think they're still 99 cents. I'm pretty sure they're still 99 cents. So $3, and you got some extra Felicity material.
Gotta like that.
You gotta love that. And Smoke Signals arc was really good. I was really happy to see Felicity in this one. And I really liked the interactions with her and Barry. I mean, this story comes across really well on the pages. So
awesome.
So that brings us to shameless plugs and self-promotion.
You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and about every other social media at Super Squint. That's SuperSuint. And you can read my reviews for Flash on voiceoftv.com. And you can also listen to me with Lilith on Queen Consolidated and over at Before the Bat with Phil and Tyler.
As for me, of course, I'm Lilith at Lilith Hellfire over on Twitter. You can find me on Tumblr. My personal one is Lilith Fairy Hellfire. But if you're into Supernatural, Doctor Who, or BBC Sherlock, as well as Hannibal over on NBC, you can follow me at superhulockjunkie.tumblr.com. And, of course, my blog, lilithlovestv.blogspot.com. And remember, loves is spelled L-U-V-S. It'll be next Tuesday before you know it.
And we'll be back in a flash.